Jim Hollmer and James Hollmer, Hollmer. And I was born in 1937 in Needles, California. I moved here to Colorado in 1938.
To Cresttown?
Out on the Baca.
Uh-huh.
Well, out in the sand out there where the old dump used to be.
Edna?
I was born on Galena Street in that old house on Galena that by that two-story house. I was born there May 17, 1940.
And what was your last name when you were born?
King.
And then now you're Edna.
I'm Edna Bennett now. Yep.
So you were born in Cresttown,
Mm-hmm.
and you came when you were 1?
Probably pretty close.
Edna, what do you remember about growing up here?
Well, it was a good life. If the kids nowadays had the life we had, they would have loved it. We could run anywhere we wanted to, till any time of the night, and our parents, well, really not that, but we just had free reign of the town.
And you felt safe?
They felt safe. Uh-huh.
What kids did you run around with?
Oh my golly, there was Hollmer kids, Johnny Hayes and Linda,
McKee kids.
McKee kids, Phipps kids. A great big family lived up on the creek of Phippses. There was Phippses and McKees, that was another big family. And Kings, that was another one. 10 in each family. And Nolly Harlan and Ruth and Willie McDowell.
Mm-hmm. I've
And,
forgotten about them.
oh golly.
Was Ruth Willie's sister?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Do you mind if I hold that paper? I don't want it to block your face.
Oh, that'd be better.
But I'll give it to you whenever you want.
Did you know a Charlie Stewart?
Yep.
Were you about the same age as him?
No,
No. He was quite a bit older.
uh-huh.
Okay, because I've got a picture of the local kids here. It looks like it was taken in the late 1920s.
Uh-huh.
So that would be a little too
Could I
old.
see it?
And the names are on the back.
You know, I have some pictures, but they're in Saguache, I think.
At a museum?
Huh?
At a museum?
No, school kids.
Uh-huh. But the pictures, I mean? Are
Oh,
they at the
no,
museum?
my niece has them. They were taken right out here on this porch.
We've got 1930s school kid pictures there.
I could, when would you have to have them?
Anytime.
I could probably find you some of them.
So let's see. This is 1933,
Uh-huh.
29, and
Your mom's in that one.
26.
I think this is her right here.
So this is the latest one.
The tall one with the hat on.
Uh-huh. Yeah, the Manchegos and Margaret, Johnny Hayes' mother,
In the middle?
Yeah.
Oh.
William Stewart, Gladys
And there's
Stewart,
another Tucker in there too, and I don't know.
Margaret Hutchinson,
I think it was
Elmer.
probably
Elmer Tucker.
Elmer.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one is probably Charlene. Or, not Charlene, Marguerite.
That's Elmer Tucker there.
Is that newspaper clipping pictures?
No.
Ooh,
You know, there was,
these are too good to be newspapers. These are
Yeah.
the original photos.
Yeah.
there was a showcase.
I had a bunch of those
Oh,
pictures.
okay.
Elmer,
That you were passing.
Elmer and Henry Lamb was in one of them.
I think right here.
Of course,
Yeah,
you didn't get here till 62.
Elmer Tucker.
That's-
they're
That's
right
right,
there
that's
together.
I don't
Yeah.
think the
Well,
late
yeah.
1920s.
So see your mom in there?
Kids running wild.
Yeah.
I didn't see your
Thought she
mom.
was in this one.
Probably.
Wait, was that the one? No. This one. I thought it was one of these two. 'Cause
I
it's-
think, one of them was mom and the other one was, this one's mom, and I think that was
Yeah.
her sister.
everybody says she was the tall one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's school in this building in the 20s and 30s?
Yeah,
What was a typical day of going to school here like?
well, we come to school at 8 o'clock and went till 4. Till they moved us to Moffett.
What kind of stuff did they teach you?
Your regular reading, writing, and arithmetic, and,
Just 3 hours,
yeah,
reading, writing, and arithmetic.
yeah,
They don't spell writing with an R.
no,
Well, they called it the 3 hours. As I remember right, though, we got out at 3:30.
well, there was a year or two, we went till 4. After we moved to Moffett, we got out at 3:30, because we had to make a bus trip home.
Well, maybe I was wrong.
And you had to come in the morning? What
Yep.
was that?
Yeah, at 8 o'clock.
No, but you came in early, right?
Oh, on his horse.
On my horse, yeah. Yeah, I left the house about, a little after 7. We lived right there at the headquarters. And, I'd have to get up and go get the horses over in the corral, so I'd go get him and bring him over to Mom and saddle him. And I'd lead him up to the gate and hop on. And I didn't have any more gates to open, so I was in pretty good shape. Because I couldn't get on him unless I had someplace that I could get up on to get on him.
And that was from the grant.
Yeah,
Well, when you lived out in the sand.
we didn't go to school, that was just in the summer.
Oh,
How long did it take you to get in here?
Oh, probably 30 minutes or so. And I'd take the horse down to, well, one year I kept it over here, the first year, behind John Lamb's old place. There was a barn and corral there. And then I kept it down there where the Snyders had the laundry.
Uh-huh.
I kept him there one year, maybe 2 years there. But anyway, the horse was so dang tall that I couldn't saddle him. And the school teacher, which was Frances Ruggles, she'd, after school was out, she'd go down there and saddle my horse for me and send me home. And,
Did you have chores at school?
me? No.
What about lighting the stove?
No, Nellie Emerson did that.
Huh?
Nellie, and what was her sister? Mary
Mary Irvin.
Irvin. Between the two of them. She'd pack the water in and build both fires. And I can never remember a fire in this cook stove in here either.
Well, you know, that was the kitchen,
I know.
and she cooked in that kitchen when some of the kids went to school.
Yeah, some of the earlier ones.
Uh-huh.
Mom said she remembered it. But I never did. They never would build it.
Huh?
They never would have anything going on in there. And the kids were not allowed back there.
In the kitchen?
Yeah. The school teacher's desk was right here,
Yeah.
and you didn't get by her.
Didn't you buy?
Yeah, Ella Mae Burke, she filled in one time for, I think, we're from here. And she was kind of an old heifer. But you couldn't go back, and they always had one of them always had a plant on their desk. And I don't remember what it was or anything.
A potted flower, anyway.
Yeah.
Was there a bunch of kids?
Oh, yeah, there
Yeah.
was. I don't know how many, you know.
Oh, the playground
But
was
the
full.
playground was full.
At
We had,
recess,
what was it, 10:30 or quarter after?
about 10:30, we'd have recess.
It was 10:15 though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And
maybe
then
quarter
we
after till 10:30,
Until 10:30, yeah.
15 minutes.
Well, we had a lot of fun out there in that 15 minutes. And they'd ring the bell when it was time for us to come in.
Yeah,
The bell used to be right there on the end of this building.
and they used to, when school would start, that bell would ring too.
Yes,
Yeah.
And then if you heard it any of the other time, it was for fire.
and we would, we'd go out and put the flag up also
Yeah,
and say the Pledge of Allegiance,
yeah.
and that was every morning. And then every night we'd take it down.
When you lived out there at the ranch, was it your mom and your dad?
Do what?
Was it your mom and your dad out there when you lived on the ranch?
Yeah, pretty much.
And who were your folks?
Toots and Harry Hollmer. And he died in 1946.
How did he die?
He got a foxtail in his ear, and Mom took him down to Doc Davis in Del Norte to get it taken out. And he took the foxtail out, and he gave him sulfa drug to kill the infection, and it killed his kidneys.
Huh.
What's a foxtail?
Oh, you've seen them around here. They got a foxtail on top of them. They're just a dang
A
weed.
grass, like a
Oh.
grass,
Yeah.
and it's kind of pointed and
And if you get one stuck in your skin, it'll
you
grow.
know
It'll grow.
Yeah, they'll stick to you real easy. Bare skin or pants or anything else if you go through them.
Yeah.
it. The sheep will
they're
get
getting
them
ripe.
like in their neck,
Yeah.
and it'll make it like a big,
Plus pocket.
and Harold would have to take his pocket knife and cut it open and drain it.
Yeah, I did that a lot of times.
So you said he died in the mid to late 40s?
He died in 46.
Uh-huh. And so is your mom like raising the kids
3 kids, yeah.
on her own?
Till they all three got out of school.
Yeah.
She had to work pretty hard.
Yeah,
She did. She worked for, well, when we lived down at the headquarters, she'd worked for Mr. Collins. And then we moved over on the sand, and she didn't work for anybody then, but we didn't go to school. Then we moved to town and we went where the hardware is at now. There was another big old store building there that belonged to Edna's uncle, and we lived in it until,
not very long, did you?
no,
A year or so?
I don't think we ever made it a year.
You didn't make it a year?
No, because Floyd and Lucille,
Moved out of that,
they moved out. I guess it was when his mother passed,
yeah.
is when it was. And they went, they moved down there to the old Cluster place. And then we rented that house. We give, when Mom first moved into it, it was, the rent was $6 a month. And then they raised it to $8 a month. And Mom got ADC, and she got $60 a month. And we'd go to town once a month, and Mom would go into Safeway and spend probably $20, and just load that little old car up. Then we'd stop in Hooper and get a sack of potatoes, and come home. And then the next 2 or 3 days, why, we'd be out of meat, so Mom would take her gun, go out in the Pinions and kill her deer. I get home from school and I have to go pack the dang deer in. And boy, she used to go a long ways out there sometimes.
Yeah, she couldn't go out there and, here dear, and they come running up to her.
No,
Jim's mother was the best baker, and she fed every kid in town.
Oh, really?
she'd make, I don't remember what day it was, but it could have been Monday. I don't remember, but every kid, when they get out of school, they'd make a trail down in one door down at Mom's and out the back door, and each one of them would have a donut.
Or a cinnamon roll.
A donut?
Donut or a cinnamon roll.
What kind of stuff did you do to get in trouble with her?
Who, Mom?
Yeah.
About anything she'd like. I'd get the bark pulled off of me pretty regular.
Uh-huh. And you were born in the King house?
In that house on Galena.
And you had 9 or 10 siblings?
Well, there was 10 of us, but when my youngest sister was born, my brother had gotten killed. So there was just really, a lot of the time, 9 of us.
Which brother?
Jack,
Yeah,
How did he die?
he was killed in the Second World War.
France.
Did he volunteer to go over?
No,
Well, they
they
drafted him.
had the draft. He was 18 and got drafted.
Did any other boys from here get drafted?
My second brother went when he was in the Korean War, but he came home.
Which brother was that?
Bob King.
Bob. So he was the second oldest?
Uh-huh.
They wanted to defer Bob when they called him up because Jack had gotten killed. And he said, no. He said, if Jack's good enough to go, so am I. And he went ahead and went. But he come home.
He came home.
The two Manchego boys got killed
Yeah.
over there too, about the same time.
Pacheco boys?
Manchego.
Manchego.
Yeah. You know the Adobe house up there above the store, the post office?
Uh-huh.
That was the Manchego house.
Oh, I thought Johnny Hayes said that was the Pacheco, because he was telling us some funny stories
He's full
about
of
some.
it.
No,
It's Manchego.
Manchego.
Then
Pete and, what was her name?
Juanita?
Juanita. And, then Mrs. Bradley, that lived down there where, Malachek's lived, just across the bridge.
Uh-huh.
She lived down there, and she was a nurse, and Mrs. Manchego was a midwife. She delivered a lot of kids around here.
Huh. Do you know, did your mom have a midwife with you?
You know, she had a doctor. And Emily and I, the sister just older than I am, we were both born in that house. But after I was born, and my brother, I had a brother and 2 more sisters, she had to go to the hospital. They kind of made a rules that women had to be in the hospital to have a baby.
You know, Tom and Mariana was both born down there at the Grants.
Were they?
And I think they might have had a doctor too, and I don't know that. But it seems to me like there was always a big long card come in,
And a baby had
and
shown
the
up.
baby would show up.
I think Doc Shippey was the doctor that was here about then, wasn't it? I think Shippey delivered you, didn't he?
No. A Dr. Vance,
Vance?
Emily and I.
How old were you when you left?
Left here?
Yeah.
Oh, hell, I was 20.
Where'd you go?
Well, the first time I went down to Mesita. I left Mesita and went to Pueblo. Went to work at the steel mill. And I moved from there to Penrose. And then I came back to the valley and went back to Mesita and farmed down there.
You were a farmer?
I worked for a farmer, yes.
And when did you come back to Crestone?
In 2001, I think,
Oh, really?
when I retired from work. I worked at the cement plant down in Florence for 33 years.
That's where you retired from.
That's where I retired from.
What made you want to come back to Crestone?
I had a house over here,
Same one you're in now?
yeah. And it's too dang hot over there in the summertime in Canyon. It didn't used to bother me, but boy, it does anymore. That heat just tears me up.
It's hot. And didn't you run for the town board when you got back?
I did.
What made you do that?
Oh, somebody got after me. Oh, Kizzy. She got after me and told me. And I used to just do a lot of work for the town because I had my tractor. and I do a lot of work for them. And finally, she told me one day, and they was wanting to get somebody to do the job that I was doing. And she says, "Why don't you just take the job, and then, you know, you just will get paid for it as doing it for nothing." And that's how I got started. And then I don't know, the next year I think I did run for the town board. And I think I done 8 years or so. And I just got burnt out.
I remember your retirement party, but you're still doing all the stuff you did before your retirement party.
Oh, I still am.
How come you don't retire?
I don't know.
He's
I
too
gotta do
much-
something to keep me off the street and out of the bars.
So, Jim, when you were a kid growing up here, were there mosquitoes like there are today?
Yep.
And you guys just got used to them?
Yeah,
I guess you might say that. I can remember one time when we was living out in the sand out here, we used to go to San Isabel fishing, and they would be so bad that it was hard to bait a hook. Them buggers would be a-chewing on you like you wouldn't believe.
What did people do for insect repellent back then? Was
We
there
had none.
anything?
We had none. And
But
we
you
couldn't,
didn't have any home remedies or anything?
no,
Oh.
and we couldn't afford it anyway. You know, 4 of us on $60 a month, you don't spend money that you don't really need.
so you just swatted them all the time.
Oh, yeah, and kept your sleeves rolled down and,
Yeah, put heavy clothes on.
yep. No, it's, yeah, the mosquitoes, they've been here forever, and they'll be here for the rest of eternity.
I think they're all over the world.
Yeah,
They said that they're the bug that causes the most harm in the United States.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
Yeah, they kill more people than
Yeah,
cancer and car accidents and guns and all that.
and black widows, and
You know, it didn't used to be black widows around here either.
but I guess there are now.
I've heard they are. I've never saw one.
There's hundreds of them.
I've never seen one.
I didn't.
Not up here.
We probably killed them but didn't know it.
Well, I had, over in Canyon, there was a lot of them. And I worked for the town where we lived, I worked for them too. They're reading water meters. And you open up one of them pits and there's always 2 or 3 of them down in there. I had an old broom handle or a sledgehammer handle with a rag tied on the end of it. And I'd reach down in there and get them all together and get them on one side and whack them on the side of the pit. I can use the rag to clean the glass off so I could read the meter. And I've had them in the house, and I had rattlesnakes in the house over there too.
Yeah. Not so much over here.
I've never saw a rattler up here.
In Canyon, you had them?
Yeah. Yeah, I went down to the basement, and I had to go put my clothes in the dryer. And I went in the bathroom, and I looked down behind the stool, and there I could see something down there, and I didn't have my glasses on. So I hollered at my wife, and I told her, I said, "Bring my glasses and my boots, would you?" She brought my glasses and boots down, and where I got a little rattlesnake. Oh, he's about that long.
Hey Harold, that microphone's picking up whatever you're fixing with those pliers.
Bye. I'll leave. That's a good excuse.
Oh man.
But around here in the summertime, and in the fall and the spring, we would, all the kids in town, we would all get together and we'd walk up to the scout cabin, or we'd walk up to the spillway, or we'd go to the boys' cabin. That was a pretty good walk, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
The boys?
The boys' cabin.
Uh-huh.
That's up South Crestone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that was all doing. And then in the evenings, when it was relatively warm, we used to play, I guess you'd call it tag,
Probably.
under the streetlight
Oh, yeah.
out there by your house.
Yeah,
And
every summer.
yeah, well,
when
we
were
do it.
kids, small kids,
Yeah, we do it in.
till the weather got cold.
Well, if it got super cold, we wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
But we used to have a lot of fun up there doing that.
like hide and seek.
Yeah?
When did you first start seeing changes?
Well, when I came back. Well, a little bit before I came back, because I'd come over and see Mom all the time. But, I don't know, things just, kids, you know, if you tell kids to do something like that now, they'd look at you like you was plumb goofy. You know, they're not gonna get down there and play under that street light.
Oh, they
And
got,
there was
we
no,
didn't have no TV.
no, that's true.
Kids would rather be watching TV or with their
Playing their
laptop or
stupid
their
telephones.
telephone or,
I don't remember, I think we got a TV in, I think it was 55.
that's when we got one.
And the electricity didn't get down there till, it was in the early 50s. Because you remember right there where you turn to go up to the post office, going up the alley? They dug a hole there for a pole, and you could have put a car in that hole. They dug it all by hand. Man, it was, and they got a big old rock out of that thing that you wouldn't believe. And one of them big ones would come off the top up there somewhere. I think McAlpin's got some of them up to his house.
For antenna?
No, a pole for the electricity.
Uh,
And when we lived over in Wiley's house, where the town hall is now, they had a power plant. And around Christmas time, they would string a cord across the road and put electricity in the post office. Because it was always dark when the mail got in.
Yeah,
did you spend much time around Alfred Collins?
Oh, a little bit.
Working for him, or
Yeah, I worked for him a little bit, not much.
how was that?
Oh, he was a cantankerous old fossil. Him and my dad used to fight all the time.
About what?
Whatever, they didn't care.
Did your dad work for him?
Yeah, he was a carpenter for him. And the old man, I don't know, my dad would come home and he'd go in the house and he'd say, "Well, Mom, get your stuff gathered up. I'm leaving. I ain't working for him anymore." And pretty soon the old man, he'd come driving in the yard with his big long car, you know, and my dad would go out and talk to him. He'd come back in, he'd say, "Well, you don't have to pack anything." And I said, "I'm gonna stay a while longer." But you know, he was actually a good old man, Collins. When they put him in the hospital in Denver, that old man picked up all of the hospital bill. Of course, it didn't amount to much, but he paid it all. And then my dad was a Mason, and the Masonic Lodge out of Swatch paid all of his medicine. And then when he passed, my mom couldn't afford to bury him. You know, she didn't have any money. And so his folks buried him, and they buried him in Villa Grove.
Oh,
So that's where he's buried.
but your mom's here.
Yeah. She didn't want to be buried up there. There ain't no trees up there, and I ain't going up there.
What about Mrs. Collins?
You know, I knew her. Tommy knew her better than I did. But she was a poor little rich lady. You know, they had. I remember her telling Mom, she said, "Well, we got $1 million or $2 million sticking around the bank someplace." You know, and she was quite a gal.
Johnny said she used to buy Christmas presents for the kids.
For every kid in town.
Did you get them?
Yep. Yep.
Did you get them?
we'd have a program at the church. There was a building up above, what do they call that building there?
Oh, it's where Riley King's old building used to be.
Yeah, Up
right
above,
across from the grocery store, between the
Yeah.
big building of Wiley's and another one. There was a little church in there,
yeah,
and they used to have it there.
a program and,
Uh, Everybody had a part in it. Every kid had they had to learn a piece to say, you know,
About Christmas?
it didn't make a difference whatever it was.
well,
And,
it'd be a Christmas program.
yeah. And, you know, I don't remember them ever having it here. The Christmas.
When the building burnt, one Christmas Eve, everybody was getting ready for the program, and the church caught fire. And all the presents burnt that year.
Mhm.
And Mrs. Collins replaced them, and then we brought the program over here and had it.
Is that where it was?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember Miss Collins?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And Betty McKee used to work, or
Shirley.
Edith McKee
Edith McKee.
worked for her,
Yeah.
but she was, oh, she was all right.
Did you spend much time around her?
Not a whole lot. My dad worked for, like Jim's dad, he worked for the Baca
Uh-huh.
for
For-
many years.
For Alfred?
Hmm.
What did your dad do?
Well, he was, in the summer, he was mainly the irrigator, but he done a lot of other things too.
Didn't he have was that Floyd? One of them was the chore boy,
I think it was Floyd.
was it? I don't know. Your dad, he used to milk the cows,
Yeah.
and he never would wear his false teeth, he'd keep them in his shirt pocket. An old cow kicked him one day in the shirt pocket and broke his false teeth. And he was scared to home and tell police he didn't have any teeth. And Floyd Klustemeyer, he'd have to gas the old lady's car up. That's what they call him, the old man and the old lady. He'd have to gas her car up pretty regular. And he'd back it out there to gas it up by the gas pumps, and about once a month he'd back it into the pumps and knock them over. You know.
Yeah, I've been hearing mixed stories about them, but a lot of really great stories about the Collins.
Yeah,
They were really good people.
and they owned about half of Crestone.
Uh-huh.
This little house right over here, they owned it, and they used to rent it, well, they'd give it to some of their help. And there was a Pacheco lived in it at one time. And he had a son, and his name was CP, and he went to school here with me.
Yeah.
Ah,
He's probably in your grade, wasn't he?
I think so. But, and he told somebody down there, I run into him down the center here not too long ago. And he was telling somebody else, he said, you know, that guy right there is the one that taught me how to talk English. But he'd come out to the headquarters there, and him and I'd play all day long. We'd fish a while, and then we'd go play and build something or do something.
what was your first job?
Straightening the bales up out there for them. Whenever they'd come out of the baler, I'd have to stand them up so they could come by and pick them up.
How old were you?
Hell, I don't know, before my dad died. I wasn't very old, 9 or 10. My dad, I was 9, I think, when my dad died.
Do you remember how much you got paid?
50 cents an hour, I think, or something like that. It wasn't a lot. I didn't get rich on it anyway.
When did you start working?
Well, I babysat around the community all through my school, my high school years. And then Harold and I got married when I was 22. I babysat up till I was 22. And, just here and there.
Where?
Well, I would help a lady. We had an old school teacher, Mrs. Hover, and she taught here many years. And I'd help her quite a bit.
Where did you go after you got married?
We lived north of Moffett on a ranch. They called it the Greer Ranch. It was a sheep ranch.
And did you keep coming back here?
Oh yeah, my mother lived here. And yeah, we was only probably 10, 15 miles away.
When did you start noticing it changing?
When the Baca come in, you know, it's just more people and more confusion and more, it just wasn't the quiet little place that we were used to. And there are many people here now, but some of them are really nice people. And some of them I say I don't want to know. But most of them are nice.
Is there anything you miss about the old days that isn't like that anymore?
Yeah, there is.
The serenity that we
Yeah.
used to have.
And going up to the grocery store and you could get an RC Cola, the big bottles, for a nickel, and get a package of Pinter's peanuts and dump them in there and drink them that way. And
Have a good snack.
have a good snack.
And it didn't cost you that much.
Nice.
But you know, we have to realize how populated the world's getting.
That's true.
And that's part of the problem. You know, those people gotta go somewhere.
And you know, one thing that I do remember is there was never any dope around here.
Yeah,
There was no wacky grass.
that's probably
Well,
the big thing.
wait a minute, I can't say that. Because people in Chago, the little
Yeah.
Dobie house up there across from the store,
Yeah.
he had patches all over the country.
In
Yeah,
his
we heard
corn.
about that.
He grew up.
But he didn't peddle it to nobody. That was his. And he lived in that house and Juanita lived in the other house.
Are you talking about the adobe house up on Pine Street?
No. Pine Street.
The one your brother owns?
Oh, no. The one right across from the grocery store.
Is that a little bitty one that's
Yeah.
falling apart?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah, that was where Pete lived. And his wife lived over in the other one. And he'd go there every morning and pack her water in, pack her wood in, and then when he'd go get the mail, he'd get her mail, and he'd take it in, he'd put it on the back porch, that's as far as he'd go. Because Juanita would pull the bark off of him pretty quick, if he got in her house. But, no, she used to tell Mom, she said, oh, I love my Peter, but I wish he would die, you know?
Well, he was strange.
He was. He had a big old carbuncle on the back of his neck. And it was like a grapefruit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I guess he was quite a cowboy. He was a cowboy out on the Grant. Yeah, he was
What do you miss about it? You said the serenity?
Yeah, you know, the quietness and you never heard of any fighting or the cops weren't always over here or, you know, it was just peaceful. But had a lot fewer people here.
well, the only time the sheriff would come over is when old Shorty McCreed come home drunk.
Or Jim King was over driving the car.
Well, yeah.
Blanche Farnham would report him.
Oh, yeah.
And here'd come the patrolman to give
Ben
Jim a talking to,
Ben Vera.
Ben Bear.
Yep. And old Charlie, he was a sheriff. He never even carried a gun.
Which Charlie?
Charlie McCormick.
Huh.
He never carried a gun. But boy, I tell you what, when that old man to stop you, you knew you'd done been somewhere. Because he'd sure pull the bark off of you.
Like the county sheriff?
Yeah, he was county sheriff. For a lot of years.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for new people?
You know, my advice mainly is to try to get along with everybody. This would be a better world if everybody could get along. And I tell myself that every day. You have to get along.
That is true.
Uh-huh.
But anymore, there's so dang much dope around, and it's not just marijuana, it's all kinds. And it's here.
Yeah, it is.
When my dad was sick and in the hospital, why, he'd get real bad, and Mom would have to go to Denver, and my uncle would take her up. And then my uncle and uncle from San Luis would come and pick us kids up, take us down there and take care of us till Mom got back. And she used to tell me, she said, now you don't take anything from any of them people down there in San Luis, because they plant marijuana in their cornfields, you know? And whether they did or whether they didn't, but I'm not a doper, so.
You got any advice for new people?
Yeah, if you're a doper, I guess this is a pretty good place to be.
Good place to come, huh?
Yeah.
What if you're not a doper?
Well, you better find someplace else to go, because it's here.
But you know, it's all over.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. Yeah,
Not only here, it's everywhere.
it is for a fact.
Well, and ironically, I might have been a doper when I showed up, but I'm not now. So,
I knew that.
well, it was pretty obvious, I imagine.
Yeah, it was.
But you didn't treat me any different.
No. As long as they don't try to push it off on me.
Uh-huh.
But, and like this crap over here at the school the other day, or at the church, when they loaded them brownies with marijuana, or whatever it was,
That was a bad deal.
that was not a good deal. You know, and I don't know why somebody would do something like that. You know,
Just stupid.
it is that. It is that.
Well, and if I was new coming into your town, how come you were so open-armed with me?
Because you never bothered me with your smoking. You're dope. The only thing that really bothered me is you let your little daughter run around naked. I told you about that.
I think so.
Yeah, I know I did. I'm gonna take that kid home and get some clothes on her for crying out loud. But,
She wears clothes now.
well, I imagine she does. Yeah,
Did you ever see my naked daughter?
Uh-uh.
All right. I didn't send her out to T-Road.
Well, Edna was gone from, you was probably living in Monty when that happened. When did you come here?
01. Right when you came.
Shortly after.
Well, I came in '89.
Back to where you are now?
Uh-huh. Yeah. We moved up to that ranch in '89.
Well, besides the dopers, what do you think, like, I mean, town's gonna grow, so you think we can do that well?
It's gonna be a hassle. Yeah, and it's gonna happen.
The thing about it is there's no work here. You know, that's the problem people have had with living up here from the get-go. There's no work.
Well, you know, everybody in town was, well, they had the 2 grocery stores and the post office, and then there was a couple little ranches right on the outskirts. And then everybody else worked out on the Grant.
Yeah.
And a lot of Bill Sizemore over here, he'd go to work every day. And Charlie Stewart, he lived right down there behind his dad's place, and he'd go down there every day to work. And there was quite a few of them here in town, well, your dad,
Yeah.
and Floyd Klestermeyer, and,
That was the only way we could stay here, was
yeah,
having a job down there at the
yeah.
Baca Grant.
And I worked there, in the summer, I worked 1 year down there. When I was, well, I guess that was about 1955, when I moved down, when I went down there and went to work. They had sprinklers on, well, the 2 big patches up just north of the headquarters, and one on the backside, and then there was 2 on down toward the purebred. and they were hand packs. You pack them 30 foot at a time. And me and old Harlan done that one summer. And it was quite a deal. Then of course, the old mailman, Noah Mayer, he was another one that didn't work at the Grant. And
He was a mail carrier.
yeah, he carried it, well, when he first started, he carried it from Crestone to Liberty and then back.
Oh, uh-huh.
And then he went in that old Model T. And then he'd take that old Model T and they changed his route to Swatch and back every day. And he had a couch in that back of that truck, and he had some blankets. If somebody wanted to go to Swatch that day, they got in the back of that truck, covered up with a blanket, and he took them to Swatch.
Or if you needed something from Swatch, he'd get it for you.
Yeah?
He hauled us girls a lot of perms
Oh, I'm sure.
home from Swatch.
Yeah. A lot of whiskey for your dad and Bob.
Probably.
And then if Bob got it first, he'd dump it.
Could you buy whiskey in town?
No, there's no liquor store here.
No liquor store? Or bar?
Well, they did for a couple times. Shepherd's had one down there in what's the town hall now. They had a beer hall in there. I don't think they sold liquor though, just beer, wasn't it?
I think mainly beer.
Did you guys go to any of the dances in
Beer.
the war bond dances?
Yeah. And they was up there above, they was upstairs above Hutch's old store.
Uh-huh.
Tell me about the music.
My
He-
dad,
Yeah, he played.
he played the mandolin and he made a lot of music for dances.
And, did Mac Hensley play with him too?
Mac Hensley would come up from Hooper,
Yeah. And Chet Brubaker.
yeah, uh-huh,
And they'd all come up and
And
they
play with him?
even played here.
uh-huh.
And old Chet would come in and the piano, I guess it's not in here
It's,
anymore.
it's over there.
But he'd take the top off and put newspapers behind the keys and make a honky tonk piano out of it.
Oh, yeah?
And then a lot of the guys come to the dances in here, and that's before they sanded these floors down. One guy referred to it as a log jumping contest because these old Fords was just rough as a cob.
Uh-huh.
Are these the same floors?
Yeah. And I don't know what kind of wood they are, but I think they're that fir because they're real springy.
Mm-hmm.
And all the stores in town had it. And whenever they changed it went up there where the realtors at, the old, where the old post office used to be, they put oak in. And Jack Harlan gave me all this wood for kindling. And I got up, or I didn't get up, I was still in bed, and Mom come out, and boy, she was nipping at me about not having any kindling in the house.
Uh-huh.
So I jumped up and put my shoes on and my shorts, and I went out and I grabbed a chunk of that and laid it across 2 blocks of wood, hauled off and hit that, and that son of a gun come up and slapped me on both sides of the head. You know, for about a week there, I was pretty good about my kindling then.
I got a bunch of Doug fir from where they used to do the dancing in that building when we remodeled it.
Upstairs,
Yeah, downstairs it came off the walls.
yeah, I could've,
I made my kitchen cabinets out of it.
could've.
And it looks probably a lot like this.
I think that's probably what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But they had, they had stairs on the east side of that building.
Uh-huh.
And they'd go up the stairs to get up there. I had more drunks fell coming down that thing, you'd shake a stick at.
Would you get a lot of people up in there?
Oh, yeah.
From outside of Crestone or just Crestone?
Crestone and Moffett and all over.
Did you dance?
Well, sure.
Hoot and holler?
You betcha.
Did you fall down the stairs?
Nope. I didn't drink.
Did you go to the dances?
You know, very few of them. I was pretty young.
And they had, Louis Vanderpool used to play Santa Claus.
Yeah,
And they'd have the Christmas program up there once in a while. And old Louis, he was very good at it.
Cause he was heavy and
heavy and
he made a
and
good
jolly.
Santa.
And loud as hell, just like the rest of the Vanderpools, you know. But it was pretty funny.
Jim, do you mind if I ask?
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask a question. So you mentioned Liberty, and you know, it's, and Hooper and all these little towns around here.
Right?
I thought Liberty had gone up, you know, under years before that, but could you give us a sense of like the population here when you grew up and the other little towns around, what the population around them was?
Well, there was about 100 people, 100 and, what was it, 125 or something like that lived here in town. And then at one time it got down to 75, and that was after I left here. Jack Harlan was telling me that.
Oh,
But I think the town proper now is, I think it's probably 140, 50 going in there.
well, I've heard that the Baca has
1,200.
1,200.
That's what they was when they was wanting to annex.
I think it's closer to 2,000 now.
I've heard that.
It may be. A lot
That's
of
what
people out
I've
there.
heard.
Well, how about some of the other little towns around? I mean, you probably mostly stick to town, but did you ever make any trips out to Liberty or would you go to Hooper?
I've only, yeah, we'd go through Hooper. That's where we'd stop when we was coming home and getting groceries. We'd stop in Hooper and get potatoes.
You have to go through Hooper to go to
Yeah.
Alamosa
Hooper and Mosca.
and Mosca.
And then, Billy Grove, my grandfolks lived up there, my dad's folks. And we'd go up there about once a month. Go up and have dinner and then go out and sit on the porch with Uncle Gus and Mom and, my dad and his brother-in-law would go out in they had a bunkhouse behind their house. They'd go out there and play cribbage. The old man, and that old man was, well, he lived to 90. And as long as I can remember, when you go to Grandma and Grandpa's house, there's none of this like kids bouncing around like a fart in a skillet, you know. You go and sit down on the couch and you didn't say nothing unless you were talked to. And if you had to go to the bathroom, you got somebody's attention and told them you had to go to the bathroom. And you'd get up and go out to the front door or the back door of the house and go to the bathroom, and you'd come back and you didn't dilly-dally. Because if you did, the old man would be out there looking for you. And to me, when I was young like that, I always thought he was 7 foot tall and white-headed, and he wore a crew cut. And I've saw pictures of him since then, and I don't think he was 6 foot, but he still had the white hair and smoked an old corncob pipe.
And that was your grandpa?
That was Grandpa Hollmer. And Grandma Hollmer, she was just the nicest lady you ever known.
I remember her a little bit.
Yeah. And they had, there's 4 boys and 4 girls in that family. And of course, they're all gone now, but,
What do you remember about exploring the ranch?
well, I used to go with my dad all the time. When he'd have to go out, like go out and cut wood, he'd have to go cut the old lady's wood. And they had one of them old saws with a hit and miss on it, you know, that it's got the blade that goes back and forth. Did you ever see one?
I have not.
And he'd load it in the back of they had an old 1-ton Ford. And we'd take it and go out there. And oh heck, I'd fiddle around while he was cutting wood.
Did you get down to Liberty
I've been down there a couple times.
when you were a kid?
No, just in the last 30 years, 40 years. I went down there. But, George White had a place just south of Liberty. And I think Boyce's wife owns Liberty now.
Oh, really?
Somebody else owns it.
Hannah.
Does Hannah own it?
Probably.
How'd she get it from Boyce?
Don't know.
Huh. I don't know. But it was kind of a nice laid out little town too.
Liberty?
Uh-huh. Have you ever been to it? walking up them deals, you can tell right where everybody's fence was,
Oh,
through there. And them old miners.
I've never been down there.
I've been there 2 or 3 times.
Edna, do you know why your family came here?
Well, my mother was raised in Costilla, New Mexico, and she was half Spanish. And her father came from Germany, and he was working down in that area and met my grandma. He was a sheep herder down there in that area. And they got married and come to Crestone, I don't know why. But that's how their Strassel was their name.
And your mom's name was Felice?
Felice Strassel till she married Ed King.
Is that the Hispanic? Is the Felice?
Oh, yeah, mm-hmm,
That means happy?
mm-hmm, yeah. And my grandma's name was Felice Trujillo, from down there,
Trujillo?
Trujillo.
Is that of relation to the Trujillo who became the sheriff in, is it Alamosa?
Costilla County.
Costilla County?
I don't know,
They're all related, so it's
probably.
probably.
Do you know why your folks came here?
Mines.
Mines?
They was miners.
Like your grandpa?
Yeah.
Did he mine up there?
No, he up around Bonanza, and the old man was kind of allergic to work, so I kind of gathered. And then the kids, they was all miners. And, but the old man, he was always up there on the East Range, poking through some of them dog holes that was up there. And whether he ever found anything or not, I don't know.
Did you get up there?
Where?
Into these shafts? These mines?
Oh, I've been to about half of them, probably, or better.
You ever find anything interesting?
Nah. No, and I won't go back in one.
Why not?
Bad air.
Well, and they're dangerous
Yeah, they are.
for falling in and everything else. But my dad, his brother owned San Isabel, that ranch where Gary's at. Him and a guy by the name of Chapman had a sheep ranch over there. And that's how my dad got to this country. And then when the Depression hit, they went under, and so he moved to Crestone and got a job on the grant.
You know, my mother told me one time, you know, where Boyce's pit's at out there? Did you ever remember seeing that, pinyon tree that sets off to the south up there?
Huh.
Mom said that, used to tell me that Ed and Felice used to live there in that house. There used to be a house there.
Yeah, the Nash, I think they called it the Nash.
You know, it might have been. I'll be dang, I never put that together. I bet it is.
After they got married.
Yeah, 'cause Mom used to go up there and babysit.
Yeah. And Jim's mother, I was really close to her. Her and I were really good friends. And Mariana, his sister, they were like
Tom's
my
sister.
family too.
Tom's sister.
Do you remember any good stories about Toots?
She was a nice lady. She treated me really good.
I heard she was a strong lady.
She was strong-willed. If it needed to be done, Toots could do it.
And if it needed to be said, she would also say it.
Well, you know, we were all kind of like that.
Yeah. Yeah, she didn't, and if she didn't like somebody,
She let you know.
she let them know about it, and they didn't bother with her. And I see you had it wrote in that paper you give me,
Yeah.
Tootsie,
I wrote Toots. Toots?
it's just T-O-O-T-S,
Yes, sir.
yeah. There was a Tootsie in there I saw someplace,
Oh,
which is not right.
okay.
If you'd have called her Tootsie, you wouldn't have near as much mark left on you.
And what if she did like you?
Well, she'd do
Oh,
anything
she
in the
was
rope.
good to you. If she liked you,
Yeah,
She'd really help you, she was.
yeah.
What kind of things did she like about people?
As long as they didn't lie to her.
Yeah, straightforward.
Somebody lied to her, why, it was Katie by the door.
Yeah, she was straightforward.
And I heard your dad, or no, I heard your brother, Bob, was one of the, got up there more than most people, knew these mountains really good.
Oh, yeah, he was a
He was
prospect.
prospecting for uranium.
Uh-huh.
And he loved to walk in them. He didn't have a family, but he spent a lot of his days tromping the hills.
Yeah. He got up in there hunting uranium one time, and he had one of them old Geiger counters. You know, it's got the long, the cord on it, and you drop it down in. Well, it got down there, and a rock fell in on top of it. And I don't know, he worked for, 5 or 6 days before he got that out.
Huh.
He finally got it out.
Was it his or did he like rent it?
No, it was his. No, Bob didn't rent much. If Bob wanted something, Bob could always come up with the money to get it.
Well, he didn't have any kids to spend
No.
it on, and
But he sure took good care of his mother.
he did.
I know
But-
some of them salesmen would come to the door. There used to be a lot of them salesmen come around here. You know, they'd be selling stoves or refrigerators or what the heck else they used to sell.
I don't know.
Vacuum cleaners?
Yeah,
Might have been. But anyway, the guy would come in and try to sell the police something. And she'd just tell him, she says, well, I can't afford it. I just can't do it.
Ambulance?
Yeah. Anyway, he asked her, he said, well, do you want that? Well, I'd like to have it. He'd say, well, go out and stop that guy and tell him to unload it. And Bobby'd go out in the back room of the house and crawl up in the attic and he'd come back with the money. You know what it was? Ambulance?
That's what they said. I got a text about it, but I didn't read it yet.
and you know, I'm getting hard at hearing, I couldn't hear it.
Huh. That's kind of unusual for a woman because they can usually hear anything.
Well, my eustachian tube shut up on me.
You know,
My hearing, I think my eardrums are all right, but it's those tubes.
yeah. Oh, Jack Harlan, when he was a school teacher here also. Was he still alive whenever you come here?
I never met him.
He was a good teacher. He's a crabby old codger.
Uh-huh.
And I remember one time him and Weston Phipps, they was in that room, and him and Weston got in a big battle about something. And of course, he sent everybody out except for him and Weston. And of course, we was all lined up at the windows watching. And them two went to fisticuffs.
Oh, really?
They really did.
It's a wonder Jack didn't get into trouble. He would nowadays.
Well, hell, Weston wasn't a hell of a lot younger than he was. Really.
Yeah.
But it was, yeah, we all watched that. And I think that was probably the last day Weston went to school.
Well,
Who came out on top?
Oh, I don't know. Evidently Jack did. But, no, it was, Weston was pretty arrogant though. He really was. And he deserved whatever he got.
and those kids had come to school and they had treated their shoes with
Skunk oil.
skunk oil. And the teacher would make them go home. Till
That
they
was the
didn't
last
stink
day they
anymore.
went to school.
Because their shoes smelled like
Oh,
skunk?
yeah.
Yeah.
The whole building.
The old man, their dad used to carry it in he had what do they call them little bags that they put around their head, their neck.
Like
Yeah.
a medicine pouch?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
he carried skunk oil in it all the time. Skunk oil and garlic. And you could smell him a long time before you could see him. But,
Well, Edna, you were telling me you were glad we were recording this stuff. Why is this important to you?
Well, you know, it needed to be done.
I'm sorry. That's horrible. I'm supposed to go feed the horses.
Because all the information's gonna be lost, because there's no Jim and Johnny Hayes and me and Noel Harlan are the end of the old timers here in Crestone, to be real truthful. You know, everybody else is newcomers, really. From 73 on, all those people are, they're newcomers, as far as I'm concerned.
You would have really, if you could have got her brother Bob to talk to you.
Yeah,
That would have been good, but Bob was kind of a hard-headed old
he
guy.
was. He was,
Sometimes he'd talk to you and sometimes he wouldn't.
he was backward. He never got married. He never had a girlfriend. He wasn't gay, but he was a loner.
He was that.
He was. But he was very good to his siblings. At Christmas time, him and I'd go Christmas shopping, and he'd pay for it. We'd go pick out a gift for everybody, and Bob was our Santa Claus.
Yeah. Well, he's a good old man.
You got any advice for the town council?
Yeah, but it ain't something we probably better tape.